Okay, so the next thing that I think affected this whole conversation is that men entered the chat. Men entered the chat, like not in the best way. I will never be one to say that I don't respect a man's opinion about, you know, whatever thing, especially if it's someone who is well educated in that topic. Like, of course.
Woman explains how the Manosphere has impacted the fall of the femininity movement. False information explained. Welcome to Manosphere Highlights Daily. This is not a diss video. We're not attacking this lady. She's a good content creator, and in the first part of a video, she addresses low quality content creators entering the movement, jumping on a bandwagon, making money but not fully understanding what the movement is about. When she starts speaking about men impacting the fall of the movement, she is way off. We agree that the Manosphere has impacted the fall, but not the way she presents it in her video. So we're going to respectfully disagree with this lady. Now, before we get into this, let's take a look at the meaning of false information, so you know what we're highlighting in this video. False information means any written or verbal statement or representation of fact that is not true, and that was made intentionally, knowingly, or without having taken reasonable steps to ascertain whether or not the information was true. Now it's time for us to dive into this and do what we have to do, because we men, ain't we? We men, ain't we?
But I think that overall, like, there's just so much generalization in this community and in the sort of masculine community, which, like, I have seen some of their videos and I'm just like appalled at the stuff that they say, like, whatever. But there's just, like, I don't understand how people can make such vast generalizations. Like, oh, all men want this, or all women want this, or all men act like this, or all women act like this. There is no such thing as all people ... Like, when are we gonna get that? When are we gonna understand that there's no such thing as, like, everyone does this, does things a certain way? Like, that's just not how things work.
Agreed. Generalizing is a big part of the content in the Manosphere, but the generalizations don't come falling out of the sky. Let's take a look at the definition. To make a statement that relates to many people, things, or conditions, especially when based on limited facts. To infer a general principle, trend, etc. from particular facts, statistics, or the like. So when we talk about the 50+% divorce rate and women initiating 70 to 80% of the divorces, of course that's not all. However, if I would ask you to jump out of an airplane and tell you that 50% of the parachutes won't open, that's also not all parachutes, but would you still jump? I guess not. The risk is too high and the repercussions are not worth it. At the end of the day, you're responsible for your own decisions. We just provide the information, you decide what you do with it. She also said this.
I have seen some of their videos and I'm just like appalled at the stuff that they say, like, whatever, but.
She was appalled by some of the stuff we're saying. I'll get back to that later.
That there really is no, like, right or wrong way to express your femininity. It's just like what is authentic to you. And I think what ended up happening over the last year and a half with a bunch of people creating this content is it kind of started to get pigeonholed, right? We were like horses with blinders on, like, this is femininity, this is what you have to do. And, you know, it just didn't leave a lot of room or a lot of space for people who didn't fall into that sort of very rigid box that had been created. So I think that there needs to be more conversation about the various feminine archetypes that are out there, right? Like, and I've talked about this on my blog as well, but there's traditional feminine, there's like the free spirit, there is like the glamorous feminine. Like, there's so many different ways to express femininity, and I think that especially on YouTube, we got very pigeonholed into one way of expressing it, and I think that that kind of did the movement a disservice for sure.
And this is exactly why men get tired. This modern femininity is all over the place. Let's listen to this clip from Astor Perel.
Who was going to be the breadwinner? Who was going to wake up at night to feed the baby? Who has the right to demand for sex? What you did is what your father did. And at this moment, we have unraveled this system. And we have created a world of options and choices and unprecedented freedom. But as a result, we have to negotiate everything. It's all up for grabs. It's no longer clear who's going to be the breadwinner. In fact, whose career is going to take priority at this time? Who's going to wake up tomorrow morning to feed the baby? Who's responsible for initiating sex next time? Who's going to plan the date? What gender should I be dating? How many people should I be dating at the same time?
Confusing, isn't it? Especially in a society where the voices of men are suppressed and masculinity is presented as toxic or incompetent. It's not only confusing to men, it's also confusing to women. This femininity movement is imploding.
Okay, so the next thing that I think affected this whole conversation is that men entered the chat. Men entered the chat, like not in the best way. I will never be one to say that I don't respect a man's opinion about, you know, whatever thing, especially if it's someone who is well educated in that topic. Like, of course, like whatever. Same thing goes for a woman. Like, if you are educated in something, I'm probably more inclined to listen to you. The problem is that the way that the men entered the chat was largely disrespectful. It was so disrespectful. So you then had, not only did you have women creating content around femininity, but you also had men creating content around femininity and being kind of rude about it, like being kind of disrespectful. And again, with the generalizations, you know, saying that women shouldn't do X, Y, and Z, or they shouldn't act like this, or they shouldn't do this. And like, let's just be honest, unless you are my dad, my husband, and even honestly my brother, like am I going to listen to what you think I should do? You don't even know me.
She just proved why this quote-unquote femininity movement is falling. Femininity should be complementary to masculinity. So yes, our opinion matters. I'm not talking about the trolls here. But her response says a lot about the culture of modern day society. We made a video about women explaining why they want to be housewives, and look at this clip.
And just a disclaimer, I am not putting down other women who choose to go that more common nowadays career type of path.
So first of all, I just want to do a little disclaimer because I know this is quite a controversial topic and I genuinely really don't want to offend anyone. By making this video, I'm not saying that this is the path that everyone should take and this is the path that will make everyone happy.
Everybody makes different decisions. This is just what homemaking works for me and my husband.
I hope this video is helpful. I obviously am not here to tell anybody what to do. I just want to share my story because I think it would have been helpful for me to have seen some people's stories when this became my reality.
Disclaimer, disclaimer. I'm not telling anybody what to do. This is exactly why this movement is imploding, because these women are making videos for women, and it's these same women that they're trying to help that will be the first ones to attack or cancel them when they feel offended. Just like this.
Am I going to listen to what you think I should do? You don't even know me.
In the next few clips, she will just destroy herself.
You don't know me. So we had men enter the chat. We had men calling women. What did he say? He said, oh gosh, it was that one, you know, the guy with the suit and the DJ booth. I don't even listen. I forget what he said to the woman.
Now, we know that she's talking about Kevin Samuels, right? DJ booth? Really? Remember what she said right here.
I have seen some of their videos and I'm just like appalled at the stuff that they say. Like whatever, but. Appalling.
She didn't give us an example yet. Stay focused.
Woman, I honestly can't remember, but it was that video that went viral and she called in, she was making 6 figures. She wanted a man who made 6 figures and he like embarrassed her in front of like millions of people.
Did you hear what she said? Bring it back.
But it was that video that went viral and she called in.
Again.
She called in.
Slow it down. She called in. She called in. She called in asking for his advice.
Okay, so what's your disagreement?
Honestly, I don't have a disagreement. I just came here because I honestly want some advice from you.
This is what we do right here at Manosphere Highlights Daily. We do our homework before we put out our content instead of spitting that foolishness and feel-good rhetoric that make your viewers feel good in the moment but keeps them unhappy in the long run. You talk about how nobody should tell you what to do. However, this woman calls him for advice. and when he gives it to her, she still has a problem with it. The foolishness. Like I've said before in other videos, this woman embarrassed herself. A woman making 6 figures might make her more attractive in the femininity movement, but she's still single, so she crossed over to get advice from a man, and she expected him to give her a dose of that feel-good rhetoric, but he gave her a dose of red pill truth instead. Not leading to his fall, but blowing up his channel to almost 1 million subscribers right now. And this is why you and your movement are losing credibility, because you put out false information that I just easily debunked. So I cannot take you serious when it comes to the male and female dynamic.
I feel like the men came in strong. They came in, my uncle in Panama, he always says, don't be wrong and strong. The men came in wrong and strong, and they really, I think, sort of took over the conversation in a lot of ways and said like, yeah, this is what men are looking for. And like, this is the kind of woman men want. And again, like, you can't generalize. Like,
you can't generalize, but you're doing it anyway. Men came in wrong and strong. Not all, but the majority of men came in wrong and strong in your opinion. You don't provide any sources, and that example of Kevin Samuels is not supporting your argument. So generalizing is only positive when it suits your narrative. Men didn't take over the conversation. We've been talking about this for a long time, especially in the black community where the foolishness happens first and is the most consistent. Just look at my How Much Proof Do You Need series. For the first time, a red pill channel went mainstream, not because of men, it's because women support it. Getting 1,000 people watching a Manosphere live stream was rare. So when Kevin Samuels was getting 1,000, 1,500 people watching his live streams, we immediately knew that women were watching. Now, why would they watch men that are wrong and strong? Women want to know how to get a man, especially a high value man. So they will go into these male spaces to see how these men are thinking. Like I've said before, femininity should be complementary to masculinity. So when we talk about what a man wants in a woman, you better take notes. We generalize, but we also back it up with facts, and that makes us more credible than you.
there are some characteristics that they would probably say that a man wants that, like, I could talk to my partner that I know he probably doesn't want, and it doesn't, you know, and then it turns into like, oh well, you know, certain men are simps or they're betas, and it's just like all of it just got so crazy.
It definitely got crazy, but that's not on us. Those terms like betas and simps don't fall out of the sky, and you consistently prove that you have no interest in learning where these terms are coming from. Women need to understand that we men talk to each other. All that information that you don't want us to know about, somebody knows about it, and that somebody's gonna share that information. And the rational way men think, it's quickly apparent that 1 + 1 is 2. Please watch our video called 15-Year-Old Lady Proves Why Modern Women Have Unrealistic Expectations. You will see a lot of simps in action. Now, we know that a 15-year-old is not a lady, but we're dealing with YouTube guidelines.
Like, it just got so insane. It's like insane. We're supposed to be talking about like how we can like lift each other up and how we can like be better women and like, you know, whatever. Like, it's supposed to be positive. It's supposed to be a positive conversation. And instead, I'm seeing videos of men saying that women like tap out at 27 and then their worth starts to decline at 27. Like, are you joking? It's insane.
No, we're not joking. Women are so used to drinking that feel-good Kool-Aid that the truth is seen as a joke. And it's really disappointing that you're not telling your followers to take this seriously. Look at this graph. Look what happens to your fertility rate between 25 and 29. Women have a short time frame. You age like milk. Men are naturally attracted to younger women. So if you want to date a high value man as an older woman, you will have to compete with younger women. Your degree or career doesn't make you more valuable in our eyes. And this is where the delusion is coming from and your femininity movement is falling, because you're not giving them information that's actually benefiting them when it comes to femininity being complementary to masculinity. A lot of women think that they have all the time in the world and they will never run out of options until it's too late.
So I think that had a lot to do with the conversation shifting. It had a lot to do with the masses being like, okay, pause, rewind, I don't want to do this anymore. And I don't blame you. So that happened. I think that's another thing. that influenced the community at large. And yeah, it wasn't necessarily positive. Now, are there men who make good content about femininity? I don't know.
And that's why, in your case, silence is gold. The femininity movement is falling because of self-inflicted damage. The WNBA is struggling because women don't support it. Women choose to watch the NBA over the WNBA. The link to the full video is in the description. Please be respectful to this lady. She's not a bad content creator. We just respectfully disagree with her on this topic. Manosphere, we working. This video has officially been highlighted.